From Channel 6 News, this is Newsmakers.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us on this Newsmakers today. Today we're talking about a very important topic, something that the whole country is concerned about, and also us right here in the Treasure Valley. We're talking about air quality, and joining me today is Jonathan Dodge and Ken Farnsworth, and you guys both have electric cars,
right.
And that's something that it's growing in popularity. Before it almost seemed like something that wasn't quite plausible, but now it's...
Well, we have 4 here in Boise,
right,
and we have 6,500 in California. That
wow.
tells you how far behind we are. You know.
Right, we're getting there.
Yeah, we'll get, sure we will. But it's an environmental issue with me, and I'm sure, I know it is with Jonathan too, but we started for different purposes or different reasons.
Now, we were talking about this just a few minutes ago about how you converted your car over,
right.
And it was a Toyota Tercel, is that
right.
correct?
Toyota Tercel station wagon.
And that was, how much did that cost?
Well, it's around $18,000 and about $2,000 for the car. It's close to $20,000 now. You just don't understand that that's all I've spent in 5 years, or almost 5 years, because I haven't spent anything else.
And anymore, the cost of a price, or
right.
the price of a car is pretty
right.
expensive.
Yeah. And I have no gasoline, and I have no grease spots on my driveway.
That's true. Love those grease spots on the driveway.
And I just drive into my garage and plug it in, just like going to a gas station, you know.
Wow. Yeah. And Jonathan, you also have a car that you changed over, and it was a Porsche?
That's right. I converted a 74 Porsche 914 to electric power.
Now, why did you do that?
Well, when I was going to Oregon State University working on my bachelor's degree, I had been exposed to electric vehicles and thought about it quite a bit and decided that that was something that I wanted to do. And so after working for a while here in Boise, I saw an old 914 for sale and decided to go ahead and convert it over.
Wow. And you did a lot of that yourself, is that right?
I did almost the entire conversion myself. I had some machine work done for me. Yeah.
Now, how long will one of these are always the questions, it's, you know, do you just plug it into somewhere at home? Is it, I mean, how many volts does it take to keep a car like this going?
Oh, okay, well, that varies anywhere from typically 96 to 192 volts. Ken's car runs at 144 volts. Mine runs at 192 volts.
Okay, and I heard that's comparable to what it takes to run a washing machine or a dishwasher or something like a household appliance?
That's right. A dryer in your house would run off 240 volts. So, yeah, it's in that ballpark.
Wow, that's great.
The thing that people are always asking us is, how far can you go? How much does it cost you?
Right.
And what do you do when you hit the freeway?
Right.
Well, we hit the freeway at the same speed as everybody else. In fact, this morning coming out here, in all the traffic, I stayed right up with them at 65 miles an hour. I just didn't have any trouble. I hit 75 once, but drop it back to 65. You know, well, you know, just to see how fast it would go. And I've never done the morning freeway before, and I thought, well, it'd be a good time to try it.
Right.
You know? So it's really a great thing to know that you have the capability of any other car. But people just don't understand that. And Jonathan and I, we both have. He's made up a list of the myths, the 10 myths, the questions that people ask us.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a myth. I mean, because as the battery technology grows, we'll go from 50, 60 mile range to 150 to 250.
Is that pretty soon down the road? Can we see that?
Well, actually, yeah, it's just a question of how much you want to spend, really. My car will go 50 miles on a charge, and Ken's will go a little bit less because it's a little heavier than mine. But there are cars available that will go over 100 miles per charge easily, and more expensive batteries are available. A lot of people say, well, you know, if there are just some technological breakthrough, then electric cars would really take off. But it's really an economic question. The technology is already there. And the question of range per charge really goes away if you tackle it from the other side, where if you could plug in your car wherever you park. Say, for example, if you go to the mall or go to work and you plug it in and walk away, and it's all topped off by the time you get back, then the question of range really goes away.
So it's just basically a maintenance type of thing. You need to keep your eye on, is it the battery? There's a little gauge on there, I'm assuming?
Yeah,
to tell you
that's
how much
right.
to use.
There's a gauge that you can buy that tells you exactly how much energy you've used.
He's trying to get me to put one on my car.
Oh, yeah. He's wild and crazy. He's just going to kind of...
You just have to keep doing these things in order to learn more about them.
Yeah.
But Jonathan has the ability and the capability of repairing his, and if there's anything needs and if something goes wrong, he knows what to do, because he did his own. I had mine retrofitted by a company called Echo Electric in Tucson, and I'm as far from an engineer as you can go. So
well, maybe you should live down the street from this guy.
I managed to stay pretty close to him.
That's a good idea. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break right now. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and get some pictures of both Jonathan and Ken's cars. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Channel 6 News. This is Newsmakers.
Welcome back, everyone, to Newsmakers. Joining me again is, of course, Jonathan Dodge and Ken Farnsworth, and we are talking about electric cars. If you were with us, you remember we were going to show you some pictures of their cars, and I guess you guys both have just one car each, or there we go. I think that's yours, isn't that, Ken?
Where?
Right over there. That's all-electric car. Is that it with a little sign
Yeah,
on
that's
the
it,
back?
sure, all electric.
Yeah, and so that's your Toyota
That's Toyota Tercel.
Yeah, that's great. And
5-speed 4-wheel drive. That's a very important thing to me.
what's that, the 4-wheel drive?
The 5-speed and 4-wheel drive. Jonathan has 5-speed too, but the 4-wheel drive was important to me because when we retrofitted the car, I insisted on keeping the same transmission because I wanted the people that I work with and so forth to realize they could change their car and still have the same car. Because everybody in retrofitting, when we started, everybody felt that the problem would be it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't do it.
And you've got it plugged up to our station here, isn't that right? That's it coming out of your
Plugged right out of
car
your
there, and then it's gonna.
I'll pay you for the kilowatt.
Right.
Yeah, I get about 7 cents.
Send you a little
here.
Idaho power bill. No.
Yeah, right.
No, that's great though. And so, one question, I guess, when I first started hearing about electric cars, I was thinking to myself, what if you're driving along, on a long journey, and suddenly you run out of juice? Is that a question you get?
That's a question. It's a good question.
Now, isn't there, I've heard of rechargeable, I don't know if it's a container or some type of a rechargeable unit that you can actually keep in the car with you so that if you're on the road and the juice runs out, you can just plug in again? Is that how it works?
But it's, again, am I right in saying it's pretty expensive?
Well, actually, that's basically what we're plugged into right now.
Sure.
Ken's car has a battery charger on board.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so wherever he goes, he has a charger, and all he has to do is plug it in if he runs low.
Yeah. And plugging it in where the gas tank used to be was my humor. The people who did the car wanted to put it up front where they have it on some of the newer cars.
Right.
And I insisted I didn't insist on anything else but that and the 4-wheel drive.
So is there any way to have a car that's electric, both electric and gas fuel?
Oh, yes, that's a hybrid.
A hybrid car. Okay.
There are quite a few of them, and there'll be a lot of them next week at the show that ACHD is doing here in town.
Yeah, and we're going to go ahead and give everybody a look at when that's coming up in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
So why didn't you do a gas-powered car and an electric-powered car?
Yeah, well, actually, I had that in mind when I converted it. Sort of an analogy is that when I drive, I usually don't drive very far. Most people don't, actually. Most people don't drive more than 40 miles in a day.
Right.
So when I go to work, I usually don't need to take a suitcase. I just take a briefcase, right? But if I go on a business trip, then I might take a suitcase and pack it full of things that I need. Well, the same analogy holds to electric cars. The vast majority of time, you can drive your car as a pure electric in town without any problem at all. But then what about the time when you want to go between one city to another? Well, I have installed in my car some attaching points where I can hook up a generator trailer, which I haven't built yet. Maybe someday I will, but I don't really need it yet. But I'll be able to put a small engine in the trailer to drive a generator. That will provide enough energy to maintain my speed as I drive down the freeway.
Okay, so that could be coming down the road, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
I have a fellow who's going to build me a motorcycle trailer.
Oh.
And in the motorcycle trailer, it was going to be tear-shaped, and we're going to have a propane tank and a small engine, so that in the study of physics, you know, from 0 to 30 is where you have your biggest load, and that's the hardest pull. We were going to have the gas engine come on from 0 to 30, and then at 30 the gas engine would cut off and the electric would come on.
Really?
And then we would go up to 75 or 65 or whatever it was, you know, that way. But I'm so satisfied with what I get now that I just haven't spent that extra time and effort and money to have that done. It just doesn't fit in. And I was in Georgia last year at the Saft Company, which is a large conglomerate of battery makers, and they were willing to sell me batteries that would give me 200 to 250 miles to a charge.
Really?
As long as I had $5,000.
Right in your back pocket, huh?
And $5,000 for 12 batteries just doesn't ring up as anything feasible at this time. Now, the fellow at Saft assured me that in 2 years, those batteries would sell for $50 to $75. And he wouldn't sell them to me. He was just saying, this is what I could do. And I wasn't that anxious. But we were on an environmental mission to Cape Canaveral. We had a climate challenge there.
Oh, there you go.
So it's one of the things that we do. What I try to do and get my little 2 cents worth in is tell people that there are 17 state parks, national parks, that have ozone levels that are dangerous. And we just take and drive through those parks all the time, and we don't do anything about it.
That's true.
And Jonathan and I are doing our little bit, you know.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job. Well, when we come back to Newsmakers this morning, we're going to talk about maybe what's coming down the road for electric cars and maybe some other electric utilities and things. So we'll have that in just a minute when we come back.
Whoa!
Welcome back, everyone, to Newsmakers. We are today talking about electric cars and other electric vehicles, which we're going to talk about a little bit right now. Joining me again, Jonathan Dodge and Ken Farnsworth. And Ken, you were just talking about some inventions in your own home that go beyond the driveway.
Well, yeah, they're not inventions, Jenna. Other people smarter than I, but they have a computer now that fits on our refrigerator. So instead of having it flowing all the time or running all the time, it demands the amount of electricity it needs. $39.
Wow.
We have a basin on top of our toilet on the vanity that we wash our hands in. When you flush the toilet, you wash your hands, you get soap and water. The soap and water goes down and cleans the tank, and you've saved turning on another faucet and running another set of water. You've saved water.
Right.
We believe in electric lawnmowers and that sort of thing. Charcoal, barbecues, lawnmowers, they're the greatest spewer of the deadly fuel, you know. So we kind of do that. We'd like to think we're environmentalists, but not to the point that it takes away from our comfort.
Right.
And that's where everybody is sitting today. When they look at our electric cars, they think it's taking away from my comfort. It won't vroom, vroom, vroom like I used to, you know.
Exactly.
And that's not true. It's more fun to drive. I have 2 other cars, and I don't drive them. They sit in the garage. I drive the electric car everywhere.
Wow.
Because I have more fun with it. Now, if I want to go to Salt Lake City, that's another story.
Right.
But
well, we are actually going to take a look at, this is a picture of Jonathan's car that we haven't seen before. And also Ken, yours is in there as well. Ken is the owner of the Toyota there in the middle, and
John Bryan has the Carmen Ghia that's on the end.
Okay, and that's a friend of yours.
That's a friend.
And Jonathan, that's your car right there, the bright one, the Porsche there on the end.
Yeah.
Wow, and so that thing, the top speed on that Porsche is lower, of course, probably than other cars, but it still goes up to 75 miles an hour?
Oh, easily. I've had it up to 75 on the freeway. No problem. It's faster than the original, hands down. I don't know what the top speed is. I haven't tried it out, but it should be well over 100 miles an hour. I'm not willing to try it out, though.
Yeah, just don't tell anybody about it if you do.
Well, the faster we drive, the more battery we use. You know,
yeah, there's a trade-off.
Like if we were on, ego is a terrible thing, but I get alongside of an Arizona cowboy, and he comes up and says, "Is that really an electric car?" You know, and I say, "Yeah, that's an electric car." But you can't, you know. And then the light turns green, and I leave him sitting back there,
right?
Because I can lay black rubber from here across the studio.
There you go. Don't challenge this man. And Jonathan, we were talking a little bit before about electric bicycles during the break.
That's right.
And where I'm from, which I'm from Portland, and they had some electric bicycles introduced to a car dealership, and unfortunately, they didn't really take off very well.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of the comfort thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, it really is. In our society, we've become accustomed to consuming enormous amounts of energy, and our transportation especially, we use a lot of energy. If you look at other countries in the world, especially developing countries, they use only a tiny amount of energy compared to us. And so when we look at what's coming in the future, what works for them might not be the same thing that would work for us. So the electric bicycles, electric scooters, and so on, that are inexpensive but allow them to go far enough to take care of their daily business is what is really going to become popular there. What we're looking at in the United States is, of course, full-size vehicles, converting them over to alternative fuel, preferably electric, but others as well.
Now, actually, let me ask you about that, because I know that a lot of big companies consume a lot more energy and a lot more of our natural resources than, say, the individual. Will there be pressure put on maybe bigger companies, like I'm not sure what type of companies those would be, but ones that burn up a lot of energy?
Sure. Yeah, I think I'm not so familiar with the commercial side of things, although it seems that some of the companies have responded to demands to clean up. But if you look at the oil that we consume, 80% of the oil that we use in the country is used for transportation. And so there's a big piece that we need to go after, really.
Right.
And we import close to 60% of the oil. And a lot of the trade deficit is actually attributed to those imports. And as far as national security, actually puts us a little bit at risk because we depend so heavily on that, consuming that amount of energy, and it comes from foreign sources.
So we could do it here. We could take care of those problems.
Yeah, I think what we need to do is shift away from consuming non-renewable resources to finding a renewable source. And that's the beauty of an electric car, because once you convert a car to electric power or build an electric car, the power can come from any number of renewable sources. It can come from hydroelectric power generation, or it could come from solar panel generation, or from fuel cells, or I'm sure that we could come up with a lot of other schemes too, wind power, geothermal.
We're going to have charging stations across this nation before too long, every 100 miles or every 150 miles. Now, right now, there's 2 German fellows that have a lead zinc battery that they're testing on the Autobahn. And the battery has a handle on it, and you drive 100 miles or so in your Mercedes and you're running out of juice, you pull into the charging station, put your plastic card in, put your battery in this set of prongs up here, and that releases the battery next to it. And then you put that in your car and you go another 100 miles. Now they were in Los Angeles last year, and they were telling the story of how they're doing it.
Right.
And I wanted to get over to Germany this summer so bad to see it, but time got away from me.
Yeah.
But the battery technology will be great in another year.
Okay, and if you are interested in personally going to see some of these cars, coming up next on Newsmakers, we'll have a few places where they'll be on display coming up next week. Okay, we'll be right back. Cars, and we've gotten into a couple of other topics as well about, electric bikes and electric lawnmowers and things like that.
Zap, that's the name of that electric bike I was trying to think of.
Zap. Just zapped into his mind there.
Right. John Bryan has one, doesn't he?
That's right.
Yeah, John has one.
Yeah, so maybe that can be, part of the wave of the future as people get maybe more adjusted to the idea of electric cars. It seems like maybe it's just like anything. When it's new, it's questioned a little bit more.
Yeah.
But hopefully down the road.
Yeah.
Environmental issues are going to be the big thing in the next 10 years.
Right, and like we were talking about the ozone layer, there's some big holes, they're growing,
really
and
terrible.
got to do something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and take another look at Ken's car. We took a shot of it this morning as he drove up to the station and decided to recharge. There it is, the all-electric car, and like you can see, it's a Toyota Tercel, and you said that that's a 5-speed and a 4-wheel drive, so this car can pretty much go anywhere.
I just put new Proxima tires on it by Michelin. That's a plug for them. But they're the low-resistance rolling tires that have just been developed for electric cars.
Great.
They give you less friction.
Okay.
Most electric cars have basically the same set of components in them. They have an electric motor. Of course, you have to have a motor controller so that you can control your speed. Conversions like these typically retain the original transmission. It's the easiest way to get the power to the wheels anyway. Oftentimes they have a clutch. Both of our cars have clutches in them. They have a battery charger. Ken's is on his car. I left mine in my
Right there
garage.
where the gas tank is, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And actually, if you are interested, anybody out there, in seeing some of these cars on display, we have a couple of places where you can do that. And it is the Alternative Fueled Vehicles Display, and that is at, let's see, coming up this Tuesday from 9 o'clock to noon at the Idaho Power Company, and from 1:30 to 4 at the Idaho Transportation Department. And we're going to go ahead and put that up there on the screen for you. And also Wednesday from 10 to 4 at Hewlett-Packard. And if you have any questions about that, there it is. There's the number on the bottom of your screen down there. If you can read that, it's 208-345-7665 for more information. And it's actually going on all week, and there's 2 more events coming up Thursday and Friday. But if you're interested in those, just go ahead again and call the number on the bottom of your screen down there. And so you both endorse electric cars and hope that they just kind of speed into the future, huh?
What you must say here is that all of these cars are not all electric. Some of these are hybrids too, so that people will have an opportunity to see all the different things that are going on. You know, that's the important part.
Right. Alternative fueled as well, natural gas and whatnot. And the thing that we're really excited about is the opportunity to share the information that we've gathered and some of our experiences in owning and driving electric cars, and trying to just raise public awareness of the fact that there is a need to switch over to renewable energy for our transportation needs, and also that those forms of transportation are feasible today.
Right, they are, and there's more coming, it sounds like.
Yes, that's right.
And we make so many more friends.
I bet.
Captain of the fire department in Tucson, Arizona, by the name of Reagan, saw me limping up the street. I'd gone too far and played too long and went too many places.
This guy.
And he plugged me into the fire station, and while he was there, we got over the whole car and what it's going to do. He's going to rebuild one.
Oh, great.
I stopped at the doctor's office, and my wife was inside for something, and I just said to the nurse, "May I plug in?" Within 5 minutes, I had 15 people out there, all interested in the cars. And that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to get people interested in seeing what it really will do, not the myths that it can't go far and you can't go fast, and you know.
Well, it sounds like you guys are spreading the word.
We're doing that.
Oh, great. And Ken and Jonathan, I appreciate you guys being with us this morning.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing some of those cars next week.
We'll see you there.
Okay, thanks a lot.
You bet.
That does it for us this week on Newsmakers. Stay with Channel 6 for more news coming up tonight at 5:30 with Jed Davis and the gang. Have a great day, everyone.